welcome into another episode of Cyberly. I'm your host, Blythe Brumleve, owner of Digital Dispatch, and we are live here in Orlando at the beautiful Gaylord Resort for TMSA's Level Up Conference. I am joined now with Bianca Sanchez. She is the marketing and social media manager over at Hirschbach, and your branding at Hirschbach is, I would say, the best that I've seen in the industry. It's the sort of a modern, like graffiti style.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how that brand was born.
Awesome. Yes, we love our graffiti, and you hit it right on the head. We do. It is a very graffiti-inspired brand, and it has an interesting backstory. Our owners, Brad and Jelaine Pinchuk, they are incredible people. I'm going to tell you, I love working for this company because I love them. And Jelaine is an artist, and that's what she has done for her life, and she's been very involved in community arts programs. And when they moved to Dubuque, so our company headquarters, I'm going to take you back here.
Let's do it.
So we're going to take you back.
Time.
Our company headquarters actually started in South Sioux City, Nebraska, and eventually it moved in the 2000s over to Dubuque, Iowa. And so part of them moving over there and becoming part of the community, Jelaine got involved in the community arts programs, and they do this very cool event every year. It's called Art Splash, and they asked if they could bring some trailers in. If you've ever been to Dubuque, Iowa, there are murals all over the buildings in the downtown area. Absolutely gorgeous. Very big on promoting their local and artistic community.
Love it.
It's an eccentric little town, and I really dig the vibe over there. But they brought in graffiti artists to do these things, and they asked if they could take some of our old trailers and do graffiti art on them, kind of like how you see on rail cars. And so it was so inspiring, and it looked so good that our owner, Brad, wanted more graffiti trailers. And so we did more graffiti trailers. I think we had up to 10 at one point that were hand painted with graffiti art on the sides. And then eventually he said, I want our branding to be graffiti. And I had started not long after this, before this conversation happened. And I said, huh? I said, graffiti, what? And so at first I was a little like, I don't know how this happens. But we worked with this fantastic company based out of Dubuque called Gigantic. And they were able to kind of see what the main graffiti artist we were working with had developed, pulled some inspiration from that, and that's how they created our initial branding, and we've just gone with it from there. And it has been the coolest project to work on, and just kind of developing this, turning it into art that if you look at our trucks, it actually the art goes from the trucks onto the trailers. It's one cohesive piece of art, and it looks absolutely fantastic out on the roads.
That was one of the first things that blew me away, especially because you also tie it into your website and all your social media, and I'll get into that for a sec in just a second. But let's get a little bit of background on you, how you got into the transportation world. You went to UF, which is a hop, skip, and a jump from here in Orlando. Give us a little background on your career and how you got started in transportation.
So I'm a Florida girl, born and raised not just down the road in Lakeland, Florida, actually. And I went to Gainesville to attend the University of Florida, stuck around for a while. My background before joining trucking was actually a lot of government and education. So I worked for the University of Florida, then I met my husband. He is a native Iowan. And we lived in Florida for a while, but he convinced me to go.
I was going to say, there's a lot of deep sides here.
He convinced me to go to Iowa. And as much as my Florida heart misses Florida, I will say the most fantastic thing that came out of the move was getting the job with Hirschbach. So when I first moved up there, I worked for the school district, and I was not satisfied. And I met our chief. She's now our chief people officer, and she said, "What do you do?" And we were talking about it, and she goes, "I could use your skills, and I really would like for you to come to Hirschbach, come check us out." So they had just decided to open a position for a marketing person. They'd never had a true marketing team before. And I applied, and they said, "You're hired." And so I started learning about trucking. I had a little bit of knowledge in the past from managing a feed store, so really just like on the shipping and receiving side of things. So that was my first foray into really learning about the trucking business, and thank God for good driver relationships and for people with a lot of fantastic knowledge in the industry. I've just been like a little sponge, absorbing things and learning. And I started working with our recruiting team. That's how we had to prove to management it was worth having a marketing person.
Yes.
And what could I bring to the table to help the company? And they said, let's start with recruiting. Let's see what we can do. And we implemented some amazing things and that have really been beneficial for the marketing and advertising for recruiting. And then I've taken on a lot of projects. I've taken on a lot of new roles within the company. And so now my job is servicing the entire company as a marketing person, not just the recruiting team.
And so what does, I guess, sort of the landscape of Hirschbach look like? How many trucks, drivers, what is the size of the company?
So Hirschbach itself is, we're pretty large and we're still growing. We're at 2,500 trucks, just within Hirschbach. We're right at 2,000, sorry, I should say. And we have local, we have dedicated, which is a regional base, and then we have over the road. We're refrigerated carrier. In the last year, we have acquired 2 companies, Lessers and JCT, John Christner Trucking.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Lessers was absorbed into Hirschbach, and JCT is still running separately, so it has its own company going on with some big assets over there as well. And we have, I want to say 7 terminals throughout the nation. I'd have to count them off on my fingers to remember every single one of them. But we now have a terminal in Dover, Florida, so right down the road here. We have some great spots like in the Midwest, Kansas City, Joliet, Illinois. Our main headquarters is based out of Dubuque, and the recruiting team is based out of Sioux City, Iowa. And so we've really grown exponentially since I worked here. When I first started, we were at about 700 trucks. And that's just in 5 years. So I've been with the company just under 5 years. So in August, it'll be 5. And we've grown a lot and a lot of amazing things happening. I want to say our trucks are full. So we're including our local division. I think we're at 2,500. And then staff, we've got 350 to 500 somewhere in there. It's kind of spread out. We have staff at all of our terminal locations.
And so with your 5 years experience, especially, over the last couple of years, which has just been insane. So how have you managed, I guess, your marketing responsibilities? How has that evolved from when you first started to what you're doing now?
It is, So at first it was a lot of just, well, let's try this and let's try this. And there wasn't a lot of, I want to say like reporting. There wasn't a lot of, hey, this is our goal and this is what we need to have set. And so we really have had that evolution of being responsible for our ROIs and what are the things that are working. And there's just been a lot of, I'm trying to think of all the things. It's kind of crazy, but we have really, it's grown a lot. And just putting all of those things in place just to kind of continue to say, wow, we've gone from here to here, and this is what we're continuing to do each month. Did we hit what we were looking to do? What are those goals? And how do we continue to take it to the next level? Like, I don't, and I know our company is not the kind that just sits back and says, hey, it's working great right now, let's keep it. No.
So you want to keep pushing. Yeah. What does, I guess, sort of what does your marketing landscape look like? Are you focused on the website, email campaigns, social, kind of all of the above? What is that?
All of the above. I've seen it a lot in the trucking industry. Marketers, we wear a lot of hats, and we're pretty good at getting a lot of things accomplished with a very small team. And so for me, I hear a lot of, I'm a team of one, I'm a team of 2 to 3.
The one-person marketer.
Yes, and so we all have those days where we say, okay, which are the balls that we have to juggle right now, and which ones can kind of sit there for a few minutes and then we'll come back to them. So yes, making sure that the content on the website is up to date and it's refreshed, and we are still working on building out more content to it, but also we have a lot of those things in place with the email automations, and our advertising is doing really well. So we just kind of pay attention to it, make tweaks. It's something we do on a monthly basis, but it just varies on what's hot at the moment, and do we have an acquisition coming up, or did something change? So it kind of shifts with the wind a little bit.
Is it just you on the marketing team? So do you, I guess, utilize maybe like outsourcing help or agency help?
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned gigantic. So if we're coming up to something, I'm kind of the in-house graphic designer as well as the marketer. And if it's something that I've just got a lot going on and we need big production on things, I will push that off. So we do have a lot of creative help in that capacity. We have a wonderful AV person who just joined the team within the last year, and he
audio
has
video, right?
Audio video.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. We do a lot of video production.
Really?
A lot. This is one of my big things that I love. We started a podcast, and it got the attention of the executives, and they said, "We really like this. We like what you're doing. Show us more." And now they have taken the podcast and they're running with it.
All right, let's talk about that, because that's what that's my bread and butter.
Yeah.
I love podcasting. So tell me, why did you start the podcast?
I just had a moment. I'm telling you, my world is hilarious sometimes. I stood up one day, I looked at our chief people officer, and I just said, I'm putting this out there in the world. I feel very strongly that we need to do a podcast. And I feel like I have something to say. I feel like I can provide a platform to give people the opportunity to say things that they want to say. And I think that other people would like to hear that. And when you stop and think about it, at the time when we started it, a lot of people weren't doing podcasting with trucking. And when you're trying to reach drivers especially, they spend a lot of time where they can just listen. And they don't necessarily want to watch a video, they want to listen to the content. And so I said, this is just an opportunity where we can speak to them. And we can just share the good things that are going on in trucking, the good things that are going on at Hirschbach. And it gave an opportunity for this person who would never connect with that person and hear what those people do, hear how they feel, give their words of wisdom. And I just felt very strongly we needed to do it. And so they said, okay, run with it. And we launched it, we did it, and I got a little overwhelmed because it's just marketing. So when the president was like, yes, we're gonna take this on. And so the executives started doing a weekly podcast.
Wow.
And they are, it's an amazing tool. It goes on both like the podcast platform as well as a video content for them. So we take the audio, we put it on the podcast, but then we have the video content available that they can watch.
Did it start out with like driver interviews or
Yes.
Interviews within the company? How did you
Yes.
sort of structure those initial conversations?
When we first started, I said, okay, what are the hot topics? Who do people want to hear from most? What's the content we really want to get out there? That I just wish somebody were able to talk to this person for 45 minutes. And those were the ones we started with. And so a lot of it was starting internally, talking to people within like the management team, and then starting to talk to some of our drivers, especially our experienced ones who have those really good pearls of wisdom. We have a driver, he's one of my favorite interviews. His name is Keith Allison. He's been with the company for 20 years, but his experience is so like 35 years in the industry. And he is like the biggest safety guru out there. And if you just stop and listen to him, like the pearls that he's dropping of wisdom are just incredible. And so we started talking with our drivers so that we could share their input as well. And then I started talking to a few people outside of our company, just who had good content that drivers would be interested in. We talked to ATBS and to learn more about like services and ways that drivers could benefit from using a tax service for those who are independent contractors or owner operators. So it was just ways to kind of share some of our...
Bug out of here, sorry.
Oh, you gotta love Florida with the bugs. Yeah, so it's just ways to share information, and now it's really kind of turned into like state of the business and what are the things that are happening within the company.
And so now the executive team so you didn't have to go through like jumping through the hoops of trying to convince the executive team that this was a smart thing. You just did it.
We just kind of did it.
And then they said, we love it, and started handling it themselves.
Yeah, it kind of started as more of a marketing tool in a sense, just to kind of connect with drivers. And then they just really loved it. I started having a few guests like jump on and that were within the office, so kind of like a co-host kind of situation. And they heard one of those and they were just like, this is great, like let's talk. And they've just kind of run with it. And we're going to bring it back from a different side. So now that that's really going with the updates, The model was a bit of a hybrid originally, where it was updates plus content. Now we're going to tell the stories. Like, we just want to get to know people and hear the stories and what people have to say. And I just love listening to like the true crime podcast, and so I just love building stories and hearing more. And we're gonna add on to that.
I love that approach, because every time I watch one of those shows, especially when you're staying at a hotel, because I watch more TV than I ever have, and I watch those types of channels, like those true crime shows, here more than anything at a hotel. And it's always involving some kind of truck, like somebody's body is getting shoved into a truck, or drugs, or whatever. It's just fascinating how many stories that you can tell within trucking. I mean, not obviously the bad, but you can also tell the good stories too, which I'm sure is what you might focus on.
No, I don't want to get into the true crime stuff, but probably best to avoid that. Yes. We try not to show up in those commercials.
So how are you filming these? Is it directly all in the office?
Yes. So we've actually set up a studio in the corporate office with, and it's really cool. They've got the whole room padded down so that the acoustics are better. It's got a green screen behind it, so they can kind of put what they want up there. And the executive team can just kind of go in and sit and talk. Our AV guy, he's got it set up with the mics and the cameras, and he just kind of cranks out the content. We do live stream during the actual conversation, and then we turn around and produce it after the fact to put it on other platforms.
And so where are you live streaming it at? I am at YouTube.
YouTube, yeah.
And so it's all YouTube.
Yeah.
And then from there, you're taking it, you're putting it on the podcast, you're putting it out on social media. Talk a little bit about what that distribution plan looks like. Is it putting the whole episode out there? Is it maybe putting, clips of the episode? What does that look like?
It is actually the full episode that goes out. That is one of the areas I want to take it for the next level. As a team of one, sometimes you get spread a little thin, but just using those clips of content and turning around, making it bite-sized pieces that you can share out on social media platforms is one of the places we want to go for sure. But we do share the full episode, so it live streams the whole thing on YouTube, and then after the fact, the full episode goes out. We share it on social media. We have a lot of groups on Facebook that are for our drivers, and they're very active, and so those will hit the groups. And then we have a mobile app for our drivers as well, so it automatically hits the playlist on the mobile app as soon as he produces it. And those are the places where it goes.
And so whenever you are, thinking about social media and the things you want to do in the future, where are you guys currently active at, and where are you finding the most success?
So, interesting topic, yes. Facebook is huge. I think that's in trucking in general. There's a lot of drivers on Facebook. There's a lot of companies on Facebook. So Facebook is big for us. We do quite a bit on YouTube now, that we have somebody who can kind of help manage that content. So we're pretty active on YouTube. We have a presence on Instagram. LinkedIn is growing for us. And then TikTok's the big guy. And we try to have fun content. We try to come up with some really great things that are going to catch people's attention, and that has been an interesting. Give us a couple examples
of the TikTok, because you're the second person now on this interview that's talked about growing the TikTok account.
TikTok. I joke about that it's kind of like the bane of my existence, because in order to really produce good content, you need to know what's trending. You need to know what the good content is, and you can sit on it for hours. And I'm like, I have so many other things I need to be working on, but it's great. It's great. It's those bites, yes, and you're just like, just one more.
You give yourself time limits, and then you never abide by them.
No, and it's like, oh, well, I went over, one more. So, but we, and the funny thing is you can make something really, really great, and you think it's hilarious, and then it just doesn't get a lot of views. And then if you hop on one of those trending sounds, it blows up, and it's incredible. And one of the people who helps me with the TikTok, she is part of my team, but we have a company store. And she's right in the thick of where our fleet is, and so she helps a lot with the content management and creation on TikTok. And she'll say, oh gosh, there's negative comments. I'm like, you know what though? It's helping us trend, and we can respond back in a really positive way. But back to your question about some good content and some things that have really blown up. We actually have a mascot. We call him Fireball, and he's like a flaming dragon. And don't ask where it came from, but he's so cool. And so he'll go out and do TikTok dances, and those have done very well, as well as ones that where we're showing kind of the contrast between past and present. Mm-hmm. So kind of just hopping on any of those TikTok trends. And then there is one that is on there, and I would actually almost want to show you the video itself. It just blew up, and it is. I simply was driving down the access road, and I was like, oh, there's one of our charcoal trucks. And the charcoal color is my absolute favorite. That was the one when we picked the fleet colors. I was like, please, charcoal, I love it. It's gorgeous. And I saw it sitting there, and we had our little flags like waving in front of it. And so I'm driving by with my phone, and I just filmed the truck. And I put it with this trending sound, and we've gotten so many views and so many comments from it, and it's been incredible. And so TikTok really is, it's up and coming for that area for advertising purposes, obviously. But it's also just a place to kind of engage and have a little bit of fun and not take yourself too seriously.
I think that you hit the nail on the head, because TikTok for me, I either laugh or I learn every time I'm on the platform. Yes. Even if it takes hours of my day, every single day, it still is giving me value versus other social media platforms, which don't technically give me that same value. Yes. And now when you had mentioned earlier about Facebook, because Facebook for me is just one of those, we talk about TikTok and how, you know, that's the growth of that platform and how everybody is, gravitating towards that one. But then you think about Facebook, and Facebook for me is something I just don't put any effort in anymore. Right. But you mentioned that you have several drivers several driver groups that are very active. Where are you still finding the value in Facebook?
They're still there. The drivers are still there. I don't know if it's that age demographic that they're paying attention, but I think a lot of it has to do with the groups. Groups are very, very active on Facebook, and it gives the drivers a place to talk to each other. And that is why Facebook still has a lot of value, is because they're there, and it's a place where they're coming to talk to each other. And so while they're there, they're looking, and they'll stumble across, they'll see the ads. It is incredible the amount of advertising that goes on Facebook. We've all seen it, where we talk about something, and then the next thing you know, it's
creepy hour.
It is
spying on us.
And for some of the people in trucking, I feel almost bad. I scroll through mine. I have a work profile, and it is literally just advertisement after advertisement after advertisement in trucking. It is incredible the amount of advertising that goes on for trucking on Facebook.
Are you handling those ads, or is that something that an agency probably maybe takes care of?
The majority of our Facebook advertising is through an agency. We do a little bit in-house for some of our other things, but
it's just a whole different beast.
It is.
I've tried to tackle myself and failed and fell flat on my face. Yeah. A lot of Facebook advertising wasted a lot of money. Just because you didn't know the nuances of it, but it forced me to learn. When you lose money, it forces you to learn.
And it's a competitive space. Oh gosh, it's competitive, but it's a place to make contact with drivers. And LinkedIn is up and growing. Like, it really is. And I'm guilty of not being good at managing my own profile, my personal profile. I think as a lot of marketers, we get a little overwhelmed with social media sometimes. And for ourselves personally, we're like, no, I just don't want to engage anymore. But it's a fantastic platform. Yes. It's really grown a lot. And so making our presence a little bit better, a little bit bigger, tweaking it.
Are you from the company side or the personal side, or both?
Both, yeah. I've found it's, especially with some of the things, the changes, the growth we've had at Hirschbach, it's a great way for me to connect on a personal level. So
that's where we connected. Was on LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
And so when you're thinking about these different platforms and where you want to spend your time and energy, where are you prioritizing? Is it kind of just everywhere, or you want to really hone in on one or two platforms? Yeah. What does that look like for you?
So at first we were very like, oh, we got to hit all of them, and that's not effective. And so I have reduced it to, we spend the most of our time and effort on Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok. And then our Instagram is kind of it's there. Yeah. it's just something so people can continue to see us. It's there. We utilize the content we've created for other platforms on it, and tweak it a little bit so it's Instagram. But we focus on those on Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok right now.
So let's pick back up right where you were mentioning the different social media platforms of the ones you like to focus on. So it's Facebook, it's LinkedIn, and it's TikTok, and so not so much Instagram. But what about some of the other channels? Are you doing email marketing?
Oh,
Are
yeah,
you
absolutely.
Funneling people to your website? What does that other part of your marketing plan look like?
Absolutely. We do a lot of, that was a big one that I took on when I came on board, was actually remarketing. And we do a lot of that through email and text messaging. And we
text messaging, that's interesting.
Yep. Yeah, it's actually a great way for recruiting.
Really?
Don't want to give away all of our secrets.
Sure. Because that was going to be my next question. How are you approaching text messaging?
Don't want to give away all of the secrets. Our recruiting team might be like, Bianca, seriously. But email marketing was a big platform for us when I came on board, and we've really grown that. We've got it kind of going, and that's great. With our rebrand on our website, we do funnel a lot of traffic there as well. And then, like a lot of other carriers, we do a lot of advertising through third-party vendors. So we have that mix. But from the marketing side of things, yep, email, text messaging, those are big ones for us, along with the social media.
Is the primary goal for all of your marketing is recruiting? Is that safe to say?
That is the biggest piece of the pie. We do want to focus for our customers as well, and so and then also the people side. Every company needs
recruiting.
Yes, every company needs great talent, and so getting the story out there so people can see like what sets Hirschbach apart. And we have a tagline you'll see a lot that says, "Not your typical trucking company." And we own it. We love it. We are not your typical trucking company. But why aren't we your typical trucking company? And so we like to tell those stories, get the word out there. We've started a series of videos where we're talking to drivers and we're talking to staff, we're talking to diesel techs, so that people who are looking to possibly want to join Hirschbach can see it from the inside.
Oh, that's cool. And so you're using a lot. Is that one person, like AV guy?
I know.
Handling all of this?
He loves it when I'm like, "Hey, Tom, I got another one for you." We team up a lot, and we work together. We partner together to kind of funnel in some people to talk to, and we set it up and we say, "Hey, we'd really love for you while you're here to sit down and have an interview with us. We're going to shoot some B-roll with you," and they're short little pieces, they're little clips, but we can cross-utilize, obviously, for advertising purposes and just content, being able to put out content. Gosh, in marketing, it's all content creation.
Drill it into our heads.
And so it's great for us, and plus it helps show from the people side. So we've got drivers is huge for us, because we're a carrier, we're asset based, we need drivers, so that's a huge piece of our puzzle when it comes to marketing. And then we have our customer side, and then we have the people side.
And so from earlier when we were talking, so driver recruiting is a big part of your role, but then you're also very close with the drivers themselves. Are you seeking them out, or are you seeking them out for interviews, or are they kind of just calling and checking in to see, how you're doing? How do you develop those driver relationships?
Well, in social media comes into that. So through social media, I've developed like my persona online, and it's me. I'm Bianca. But I interact a lot in those Facebook groups that I mentioned, and answering questions for drivers. I'm just a resource for them, so they can say, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know who to talk to." People will say, "Just reach out to Bianca. She'll point you in the right direction." And I've developed relationships with people so that they know that if they can rely on me to get the information, even if I don't know it, it's not my area, I will find the person who can help make that happen. And so it's just developing those relationships with them, predominantly through social media. And then we actually have, we all wear multiple hats. I'm one of the event planners for the company, and we have a huge event every year. It is my favorite. Yeah, it's my favorite time of the year. My second is Driver Appreciation Week. I love Driver Appreciation Week, but we do a Best of the Best banquet, and it is my favorite time of the year. We honor our top tier drivers, and we bring them in put them up in a hotel for the night so that they can get off the road, get in, clean up, and come down and party with us. And we celebrate them. It's all about them. And we have a dinner, we have an award ceremony,
Oh, that's awesome.
we have like entertainment, we have all kinds of things going on. And through that, I have also developed relationships, especially for people who've been with us for multiple years. I help organize them coming in, getting their hotel rooms, the event, the night that's happening. And so through that, you just naturally start developing these relationships. And, they're text messaging me, they're sending me messages through Facebook, they're sending me emails, and they're like, can't wait to see you.
Aww.
And they're like, hey, do you have this? We'll see you on Thursday. And it's an amazing thing just to kind of connect and know that, people know you and you know them, and it just makes it so much more personal. It's not just,
That's such a big part of retention, because
Yes.
everybody talks about a driver shortage, which it's really about retention and
Yeah.
keeping those good drivers, and then still using their stories to recruit other
Yes.
better drivers maybe. So how do you, I guess, sort of tie it back with marketing? It's always the ROI question. What
Of
does
course.
ROI look like for you at Hirschbach?
Well, ROI is a number of things for me in my area, but obviously, we have a lot of metrics on the recruiting side. Like, are we hitting? Are we having the call volume that we need? Are we getting the app levels that we need? And then, are those things converting into full-on applications? That's the recruiting side of things. On the people side as well, we do advertising for that. And are we getting the applications that we need? Do we have the talent pool coming in? Are we hitting the right areas? Do people see us? And so those are all metrics that we can measure, obviously. And then we look at the things like the hits that we're getting to the website, the new visitors, are we getting new traffic? And so we look at all the typical things that people look at, and we say, we can boil it down and say, yes, it's working or it's not working. It's pretty quick that we can figure out if it's not working. But we definitely watch our numbers.
And so when you're doing all of the things and you're wearing all of the hats, is there anything in marketing that you want to do more of that you haven't done yet?
Oh gosh, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, yeah, there's always more. And gosh, I'm trying to think.
It can sound like you podcast, YouTube, like TikTok, like you're hitting all of the big things.
Yes. Well, obviously for me, growing our TikTok out even more, one of the hard parts is that it takes time to create. And so trying to get a team of people to kind of help with managing, creating the content, developing good content, and then getting it to where we're generating more and more and in advance. Those are the important things. The new areas, I really feel like we have a lot of opportunity in platforms where we can kind of be the thought leaders, and just getting more information like the white papers out, and
case studies.
Yes, case studies.
Like
Getting our name out there. These are things we haven't done simply on a time management level, because we've been busy growing these other areas. But now that they're, clicking and going, like, these are the places I want to take it to, and just building out our content strategy plan, just even more. Like, from a personal standpoint, that's where I want to go. Those are the things I want to add.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to sort of end on with this conversation. Where can folks follow your work, connect with you, connect with Hirschbach,
absolutely.
all that good stuff?
Hirschbach.com. Go check out our website. If you want to find me personally, Bianca Sanchez. You might find me under Blakely. I know there's a lot of Bianca Sanchez's out there in the world, but Bianca Blakely and Bianca Blakely Sanchez, sorry, I'm a little spastic right now, I apologize. You can find me on LinkedIn, you can find me on Facebook, and reach out, connect, and bianca.sanchez@hirschbach.com. Connect with me by email, and I would love to talk with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bianca.
Of course.
All right, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Cyberly. We will be right back here next week, FreightWaves TV at 2 p.m. every Thursday. Thanks again.